is your reminder to never tell your friend if you see her man cheating. Never. Okay? This man was cheating. I told it. Now, I saw the girl get in the car. I told it to my friend. Baby, my friend threw me under the bus. I believe she told all my details. Okay? Don't do it.
Your primary line of protection, whether you're a man or a woman, your primary line of protection is minding your business. I'm going to say it again. As a man or a woman, your primary line of protection is minding your business. And sometimes that includes with friends. Okay, and learning how to stay out of things. Okay, we don't want to be getting harmed because we decided to, be a part of somebody's raggedy relationship. Okay, because any relationship that is resulting in busting windows and pillow talk that results in windows getting busted and fights, that's raggedy stuff. I mean, you don't want to involve yourself with that. Ladies and gentlemen, stay out of people's raggedy relationships. Honestly, leave it alone. Don't involve yourself. What happened to that lady with her car window being smashed in? It's not as much of a surprise for me. It's because toxic couples, and I'll talk a little bit about that further in the video. Toxic couples, those relationships ride on dysfunction. So you will always be triangulated into their mess because drama is what keeps the relationship alive. Women who are male-centered are also women who have a wound, a father wound. Either their father was never in their life, so because of that, they seek connection with men, even if the man is an abuser. Or they have a wound with men where they have been hurt by men so much that they're always looking to prove their love to that man, even if that means throwing their mother under the bus, throwing their friend under the bus, throwing random people under the bus. They don't care because they need to prove to that man that I'm here to stay.
If you don't resonate or align with my teachings, then my content is not for you. Avoid commenting, subscribing, or interacting. Instead, go to a page where you resonate. If you comment something foul, disrespectful, or like something foul or disrespectful, you will be blocked. I will also block you if you comment any contradictory to my message. I don't post for your agreement, so please think about that before you run and comment, I don't agree. Think about that. It doesn't matter. I post what I am led to post. Your agreement or okay was never needed. I don't need your permission. Let's get into it.
Hey, we're going to talk about this in the Wounded Masterclass December 7th, 7 p.m. on Zoom. This is probably going to be one of the best classes I've ever had. That'll be what I close out this year with, because there's a spiritual reasoning why I wanted to have this course, because I was thinking about this. I was laying down in my bed one day and I was looking at the ceiling and I was thinking about how our wounds kind of steers our decisions. That's why when I'm talking or working closely with men or women, I do something called wound checks. I tell them, hey, I'm going to do a wound check. And they're like, what's a wound check? I'm like, I'm going to ask you about your life. And I'm going to see if there's any wounds there. Because if you do have particular wounds, rejection wounds, financial wounds, scarcity wounds, mother wounds, father wounds, friendship wounds, if there's a wound there, confidence wounds, it's going to affect your life in a particular manner. And if you don't patch up the wound and medicate it, meaning through work, through exposure, exposing the wound first and seeing how it affects you and healing through it, it's going to keep affecting your life. Many men and women are wounded, but they don't know. And they're not living life to the fullest. So that's a summary. But anyways, women who have the father wound or relationship wounds from men. You can't trust them. Okay, because they're going to throw you under the bus. You can't really trust them. And then when they get in these raggedy relationships, it's almost like they suck everybody around them into the dysfunction. When somebody, think about every toxic couple, they're always inserting people into their relationship. Every toxic couple has a CVS receipt list of people that they're triangulating in their relationship to make it exciting. There are some couples, their relationship would not be relevant if drama is not involved. They're constantly triangulating different people in order to keep the drama there, so the relationship is fun. Narcissists thrive on chaos. They need that dopamine hit. They need the arguments. They need to cause trouble with one another's friends and, go back. That's why sometimes I've told couples in the past, like, why are you guys, you're a couple. Why are you having pillow talk about people and starting issues with them? That's lame to me. That kind of, I hate to say it, that reminds me of Phaedra and Apollo on The Real Housewives. Like, why are you guys, coming on the reunion? It's Kenya. Like, and I knew that marriage wasn't going to last because it's full of dysfunction and constantly triangulating outside people in it to make it more interesting. Even though Kenya wasn't innocent, she was very far from innocent. But I kind of feel like Phaedra and Apollo low-key liked her throwing herself on Apollo because it gave them more drama to talk about. It gave them more, like some couples will act like, oh, well, we don't do drama, but they love it. It keeps the relationship exciting. That's why they triangulate other people into the dysfunction. I had this issue one time with my father where there was a couple that was having an issue. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, he called me about it. I said, Dad, stay out of it. Stay out of people's relationships. Stay out of it. He's like, you think? I'm like, because once they make up, you're going to be the enemy. Just leave them alone. Let them figure it out. Don't get involved. Do not get involved. It's going to get nasty. And once it gets nasty, your name is going to be brought up. Then they're going to say you're responsible for their divorce. They're going to blame their breakup on you. Like, stay out of people's raggedy relationships. Don't involve yourself. Women who are wounded, who have a wound from their fathers or from romantic lovers, or men who are wounded by their mothers or by past romantic partners, tend to triangulate people into whatever theatric relationship that they have going on. Okay? Because when you're wounded by a particular gender, depending on how you feel about them, how the wound presents itself, you tend to idolize that gender. Okay? Ladies, for your safety, stay out of people's relationships. Stay out of people's relationships. Stay neutral and stay out of it. Refrain from telling someone, oh, you need to leave that man, he's trash. You need to leave that woman, she's trash. I know sometimes we feel inclined to do that, but some people will put you, they're going to throw you under the bus. They're going to throw you under the bus. And once they do, they're not going to feel bad about it. They're not going to feel bad about it because they will use whatever leverage they can use to prove their point to that person. This woman has to, her whole car is smashed in, her car window. That's going to cost her, well, her insurance may cover it. But this is why I'm always telling women to mind their business. It's not every situation that somebody is going through that you insert yourself in. If it's something domestic where it's violent, you can tell the person, listen, You're telling me that this man is beating on you. I want to be there for you. However, I don't want to be responsible. So if something really happens to you and you really get hurt, I'm at the blame because I'm the only one that knew. Okay? So I'm always telling women, be careful what you're inserting yourself in. Women have a habit of kind of not really knowing how to play neutral, right? Two things can be true at the same time. If you know that your girlfriend is an enabler and she keeps going back to her raggedy relationship time after time after time after time again, you got to back off. You got to back off. Because what's going to happen is everything that you told her about that man, they're going to sit there and read your text messages together. And they're going to scroll through your text together and laugh at you and say, you know what? Actually, she's the problem. Because that's how toxic couples work. They're always looking for somebody to blame instead of realizing, you know what? I'm just dysfunctional. He's dysfunctional. Maybe we should leave each other alone. Toxic couples, what I've learned actually, narcissistic couples actually are always triangulating themselves with another person. I have a cousin. She's a narcissist and her husband's a narcissist. And I'm always the topic of their bedroom. I'm always the topic of discussion. It's like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of your marriage. I don't want to sleep with your husband. I don't want to have, fun with you and your man. I'm not into that. Okay. I'm a believer. I'm not interested, but it feels like that's what you guys want because I'm always on your radar. And I don't understand why I'm being talked about amongst two married people because I'm not talking about a woman or a man with my person. Right? You're not a topic of discussion when we're cuddling. We're not talking about you, right? But toxic couples triangulate other people into their dysfunctional relationship because drama is what keeps the relationship going. You want to know when a relationship between a man and a woman is healthy? There's not much drama and there's not much there's not any third party energy within their relationship. Those healthy couples that they just mind their business. Hi, everybody. They sit in the couple. They sit in the corner. They talk. They laugh. They have their turkey. They stay out of people's way and they stay out of people's business. Those are the couples that are healthy couples. Couples that are where both parties are narcissists or Machiavellians. They're always in some type of dramatic dysfunction and they're always inserting a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh party. Sometimes the other parties they're inserting are their family members. The other parties that they're inserting are their siblings. The other parties that they're inserting are their friends. And it's all about drama. It's to create consistent drama within the relationship because without drama, they cannot thrive. Narcissistic people love drama. Narcissistic people like to start drama. That's why female narcissists start imaginary beefs. Male narcissists are always trying to pick fights with their girlfriends. Narcissists cannot deal with calmness, tranquility, and peace. It's always chaos. They cannot survive without chaos. Chaos is their oxygen tank. I remember there was a time I was sitting at a bar with a friend of mine. This was years ago. She was freshly married to this guy. She loved him. I think that she was crazy about him. Like, I remember before she got married, I asked her, well, how much do you like him? And I'm like, from 1 to 10, how much do you like him? She's like, like a 9. I said, oh, you're in love. Okay, I love that for you. That's wonderful. So, I went to her wedding, walked in her wedding. This was years ago, and it was a beautiful experience. It was a beautiful wedding. She looked beautiful. It was wonderful. And then, until it wasn't, we go out, and we go out to eat. But this time it's just me and her. And that's what I loved about her too, is she was always still very active with her family and friends and everybody, regardless of what. And she asked me a question. She said, Mel, I have a problem. I said, okay, what's the problem? She said, something's off in my marriage. The minute she said that, I took a deep breath and took a sip of my lychee martini because I don't want to be involved. I don't like getting involved in people's personal relationships and stuff because I'm not going to involve you in mine. That's the first reason. And the second reason why is because I don't know, couples are very touchy and I I don't know. I feel like they can like visit a therapist, talk to their parents, talk to their pastor. I don't like inserting myself in that if I know the both of them, if that makes sense. It's different. If you ladies call me on a girl chat call or a guy chat call to talk about, that's different because it's like I'm an outsider, right? But when I know two people, I don't like to be in the middle of that. I don't like that because it causes too many problems and I want to keep myself safe. I'm not trying to have my car windows busted in, right? So she's like, I have a problem. I said, okay, what's the problem? She says, ever since we got married, he hasn't touched me. I said, wow, really? She's like, yeah, like he like runs away. Like even when I put on lingerie for him, he like comes up with an excuse that he has to go to the gym. He comes up with an excuse that he has to go back to work. Like it's like anytime I put on lingerie, he doesn't feel excited and he kind of just gets nervous and leaves. And I said, well, you guys were having intercourse before, right? And she's like, yeah, but once we got married, he just didn't want to have it anymore. And I said, okay, well, I mean, you got to talk to him about that. You know, you got to sit down and have a conversation with him. I keep it very neutral. Why? Because a lot of women are very male-centered. So they will throw a friend, a family member, they will throw anybody under the bus to save their relationship, even if it's toxic. I don't want to be a part of that, right? And then she asked me a question. She said, Mel, I'm going to ask you a question because I know you're one of the most blunt people I've ever met. You're very honest. I know I can trust you. I said, okay, what's the question? She said, do you think he's gay? I said, I don't know. I don't want anything to do with that. Now, this conversation is going down a path where it could become a danger to me. For me to sit here with you and question a man's sexuality, I cannot fight a man. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where, you know, it gets back to him. And because you want to save the bond, you're like, oh, well, that's why Mel said, that's why you may be gay. I'm not going to put myself in that situation. You're the woman, you live with him, you sleep with him. That's a question that you should be able to answer yourself. I don't know. And I immediately removed myself from that because why? I saw ahead, right? As women, I'm always telling women, you need to learn how to see farther down the line. Women are very irrational, sporadic, random, and you make decisions without looking at the consequences down the line. In my head, I'm like, for me to sit here and open up a can of worms to question a man's sexuality, there are some men who unalive women for that, who unalive their wives, ex-wives, ex-girlfriends, mothers, when it gets that deep. That's too sensitive. I don't want to involve myself in that. I always tell women your primary form of protection is your mouth, controlling it and minding your business. There are a lot of bad situations that women could have avoided if they minded their business. Women have to understand that your mouth, okay, the things that you say to people, the conversations you engage yourself in. That's why when I see women on online beefs, I'm like, women don't understand protection. Because what if that person that you're trying to beef with online is crazy? And they find your name on a tax record and pull up to your house and blow your socks off. But women don't think that far because they don't know how to protect themselves. There are certain things I avoid because I know how dangerous things can get. I don't go online. I don't start online beefs with people. I don't do that. I do not involve myself in people's relationships because that stuff gets dangerous. And as women, it is your job to understand that your first line of defense is 1, controlling your mouth, 2, minding your business 95% of the time, and 3, seeing things from a farther lens. Now, this woman, her friend is not a real friend. Because him throwing that rock at her car shows that he's violent. Even if a man got upset that your girlfriend's friend and they were talking about you, as a man, be careful with men who don't. Be careful with men who are not afraid to get aggressive with women. That's a huge red flag. What would program you to decide to find a woman's car, take a rock, and shatter her windshield? That is somebody who has an aggression problem. I'm sure that man fights that woman daily, because that behavior alone shows you this man has a temper problem. And people that have a temper that haven't matured to learn how to control it tend to become abusive partners. Temper with a mixture of lack of self-control is a problem. You can't go around smashing windows and harming people and violating people's property every time you get upset. That is like being mentally arrested as a toddler. You cannot violate people's property just because you're mad about something. That is somebody who doesn't have any self-control. And that woman that is with him, this is why I said there's no solidarity amongst women. She knows that her man is crazy. She knows that he has a temper. So why tell him, hey, so-and-so told me this about you? Why put your friend's life on the line like that when you know your man is out of whack? Why? Because she's male-centered. She wants to prove a point. Men have solidarity amongst men. Women don't have solidarity. That is why I always say a modern day matriarchy would never happen. Because women have to have some level of loyalty towards one another for that to happen. They don't have it. So because they don't have it, nothing can be built. Solidarity is needed for a power structure to be created. Without solidarity, there is no power structure. Men usually 9 times out of 10 will, just the way they navigate is different. But for women, it's all about winning the man's love, winning the man's heart, winning the man's approval, winning the man's commitment, winning the man's reconciliation. So they're willing to throw their girlfriends, their mom, their daughters even their daughters under the bus, because these women are wounded. These are wounded women. They have a father wound. They have the male wound. We'll talk about this in the Masterclass Wounded, December 7th, you guys. Don't forget to sign up. When women have a masculine wound, they've been wounded by men, it's either they hate men and they become a misandrist, or they idolize men and they constantly want that man's approval and they don't care who they put on the cutting board in order to get it. You got to know what your wounds are. Okay, you got to know what it means to, or what wounds you may have and how it's going to affect you. So ladies, take this as your example. If somebody is having some type of, toxic relationship, listen, give them a prayer, okay? I had a family member one time years ago. They would always call my family up because they were fighting. Like, this couple they were getting physical every night. The cops are called. It's like, I said, you know what? This is going to be the last time that me and my family shows up over here, because if you guys are 2 grown adults, you guys are either going to be in love or you're not going to be in love. But this constant call, like, this stuff is toxic. We don't want to deal with this crap. We don't want to leave our bed to come over here and deal with this crap. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. It's toxic. It's unhealthy. And then they're going to force you to pick a side. Like, I don't want to be involved in that, because I don't want to put me and my family on the line. You don't involve yourself in couples drama or problems or issues. You stay out of it, because as a woman, I think it's worse when it's a woman on the other end, because you cannot fight a man. Okay. You cannot take that challenge on, and there are some men who, they will spaz out on a woman. They will get aggressive with a woman. They will do all of that with a woman. They don't care. Right? Because that's how they were raised to think that that's acceptable. So because they were raised to believe that that's acceptable, you will be on the receiving end. But not even just that, that's the male point of view. The female point of view, that's the female point of view. The male point of view, I'm not saying it's acceptable. It's never acceptable, but it's true. Some women, they don't know how to mind their business. And they're constantly meddling into people's romantic affairs, friendship affairs. Like, stay out of it, ladies. Stay out of it. Don't insert yourself in it. You don't want any more problems. You don't want anyone's drama being your drama. Stay out of it, okay? December 7th, Wounded. This is going to be a phenomenal masterclass. This is a very spiritual class. The wounds that you have in your life that you cannot see, okay? All of the pain, the scratches, the wounds that you are carrying externally affects you. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take responsibility for ourselves. It's not just paying bills and going to school and putting gas in our car. Whatever wound that you have internally, whether it's a rejection wound, you've been rejected a lot by people, that affects your ability to socialize. If you have a mother wound, it's hard for you to connect with women. You have a father wound, it's hard for you to connect with men. You have a spiritual wound. It's hard for you to connect with your deeper self, with God. There are so many wounds that people have that they don't even realize it's there, and it's affecting your progress. It's affecting your money. It's affecting your ambition. It's affecting your passion. This class, we are going to go through every single type of wound that I personally feel like shows up in people's lives often. And we are also going to dissect how to keep those wounds from destroying our progression, and also how to heal them over time and maintain the way these wounds affect our lives on a deeper level. Wounded, December 7th, 2025. Be there, be square. Divine Feminine. Oh my God. December 14th. I'm very excited about this. I am. I love talking about the feminine. We talked about weaponize your masculinity, but now we're gonna close out the year with the divine feminine. This class is gonna be wonderful for all you ladies who just want to be empowered again. You want to learn about feminine history. Oh yeah, this class is gonna highlight some of the world-changing women who fought for us as women to be able to have the opportunities that we have today. This class will definitely touch on some glamour as well. Okay, everybody getting all glammed up. And this class is also going to touch on the spiritual connotations and the spiritual power that we have as women. Women are portals, as I always talk about. So this is going to touch on our internal power, our womb power, womb cleansing. We are going to do it all in this class. December 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Be there or be square. Looking forward to you guys signing. My mother started to panic. They're like, we need to call 911. Something is wrong. Doctor told my mother, it looks like your baby may unfortunately be a victim of SIDS. God is full of surprises, but good surprises. Major encounter with God in my life. That was the Holy Spirit warning me and giving me signals about a warfare that was. He's never going to lead you in a path that is going to end in your demise. No way. It's important to keep pushing, keep praying, and keep believing, even when you don't see a way out. And because something is right with you, that's why you're getting attacked a lot. God speaks to us through people, through dreams, through scenarios, through feelings that we get, our discernment, showing up. You got to take God serious. You got to keep God at the center of your life at all times. I'm going to walk away from God because of these experiences that I've had.